you. You too, my friend. Good job. Thank you, sir. Welcome, everyone, to Casual Sunday. Everybody, a lot of people on vacation today, and I'm doing triple duty. I am not only the minister of the day, I'm the practitioner of the day, and just led the discussion of the day with the adults. Help. And so, I'm glad you're here. The good news is Spirit is not dependent upon externals. It's all within us, and we're going to create a wonderful time together regardless. Was that off? It is off. Okay. Okay. Keep going. All right. Such is the nature of life, that all it asks and all it wants is the opportunity to appear. You are that opportunity. So am I. So it is. I invite you to join me in an opening. Know with me that there's one power. That one power is called by many names, all kinds of names. Whatever we call it, it is the very energy of life that dwells within each of us. It is the stuff we're made of. It's the stuff all life is made of. And so as we come together today, we do so with the awareness that that livingness is alive and well within us and has something special for us today. A new idea, a new awareness, an idea to let go of, something new and something more. So as we come here today, we come with the awareness that that is available to us. We open our hearts, our minds, and we prepare to move forward in life in this time together. We let it be, and so it is. So I'd like to welcome you. As you know, if you're here for the first time, we give you a very special welcome and ask that at the end of the celebration, you be sure and say hello, and if you'd like, and give me an opportunity to meet you, get any questions you may have answered. If I don't know the answer, we'll call upon someone who does, and just have a chance to meet and say hello. Would also like to remind you that this is a place where you are honored for who you are. You don't have to jump through any hoops. You don't have to, obviously, dress a certain way. You don't have to be in a particular mindset, mental attitude, religious background, spiritual background. You don't have to be a certain gender choice, certain spiritual choice. All of that, because what we know is whoever you are an individual version of the infinite. Therefore, all we can do is celebrate you. All we can do is be glad that you're here. And so I can say with ease that I am that, and I welcome you in all ways. Part of what we do here is we look at greater truth. We look at truth based on the ancient ideas of oneness. The ancient ideas, back before it got split into good and bad, right and wrong, of one power. And we brought them into the new era. Ernest Holmes did that for us, along with a number of other teachers. So we come together to look at the world through that lens, the lens that there's one power, it's all God, it's all good, and that's all there is. To that end, we have a set of beliefs that we teach, and I invite you to join me now as we read them together. I believe in one God, one absolute power and first cause to all things. I believe that this power is perfect love, and it creates out of a desire to express love. I believe all thought is creative, and how I choose to think creates my personal experience. I believe in the unity of all life and the immortality of the individual soul forever unfolding. I believe in the eternal goodness, the eternal loving kindness, and the eternal givingness of God to all. And so it is. We talk a good bit around here about our practitioners. We're very, very happy that we have practitioners. They are folks who are well trained in our teaching and who are prepared to guide you if you're looking for guidance and a greater understanding of the teaching. They're also prepared to work with you in creating a greater life experience for yourself. And they are licensed by Centers for Spiritual Living. They've been through years of training and demonstrated their ability to do this. Each week we have a practitioner who comes forward to lead you in a reading and sometimes a story, a demonstration, and then a treatment. All ministers become practitioners first, and we never stop being practitioners. We are practitioners before we are ministers in consciousness as well as in time. So given that all of our coming forward practitioners are on vacation, I'm your practitioner for today, and I want to share with you what is one of my favorite readings, and it's from the Science of Mind textbook. It's page, for those who are interested, 556, and it goes like this. Abundance is my inheritance. Abundance is mine. I cannot be deprived of my supply. That line alone requires hours of contemplation. The trees do not lack for leaves, nor do the flowers fail to bloom. Am I not as important as they? Consider the lilies of the field. They toil not, neither do they spin. Yet Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed as one of these. I look at the lavish wastefulness of nature and know that God intended me to be abundantly supplied. Supplied with everything that makes for beauty, well-being, progressive living, and happiness. I myself am to blame when these fruits of the Spirit fail to appear. Since I know the truth of my being, I will no longer hinder or retard my good from coming to me. I will expect and accept all that I need to make life happy and worthwhile. For I am a child of the Spirit, and every attitude of it, every attribute of good, is my inheritance. Nothing but lack of faith can keep my good from me, for I am one with the universal essence of life, or spirit, and its substance will manifest in my experience as I believe in it. No longer will I go for my good, carrying only a dipper to be filled. This day I turn to the power within me, and I bring all of my empty vessels, knowing they will be filled, and my abundance will become manifest. It may seem a small thing, but I'm a big guy. Last week, I traveled to California to be with our teens, and in order to create a respectful and wise spending of money, I bought the cheapest ticket on I keep saying that, United Airlines. Eastern is long gone. And I ended up with the middle seat stuck in the back of the plane between people, and look at me, middle seats and I don't get along. And I thought, this just isn't going to do. I fly way too much to be stuck in the back of the plane in the middle seat. So I went to the desk and said, look at me. Do you really want me in the middle seat making people around me miserable? And the woman at the desk laughed, and she looked at her thing, and she said, well, actually, I see that you applied for a credit card at some point for Delta or for United. And I'm like, yes. She said, well, goodness gracious, here, we'll just put you up in the stretch section on the aisle where you want to be. So it manifested. I knew in my mind, in my heart, that I needed to, and belonged to be and should be in wider space. Now, they didn't quite put me to full first class, but, that's next trip. And it may seem like a small thing, but it's those small things that we use to build our confidence and our faith that this teaching is working, and it's working for us, that our consciousness can compel conditions around us to reflect and respond accordingly. And when, and 6 hours on an airplane is a big deal when you're in the middle seat. So I had a great trip, a great flight, a great time, and that just sort of began the whole week with the teens. You'll hear more about that next week. So with the idea, is this too echoey? Are you all hearing me? Up here it's really bad, but I don't know about out there. Fine. You're fine? Okay, then I'll quit worrying about it. Manifesting. Here we go. So we're going to treat about for prosperity, because the things we're going to talk about later today are a bigger challenge when prosperity seems unsettled, when our freedom to have and to experience and to live in the flow of supply seems to be in the way. So if you'd like to, I'll do this in the first person. Join me, if you will, as we step into this also together. So there is only one power, and that power is infinite. It is the source of all things. It is the source of everything that is. It is the source of all flow, all goodness, all good things of every kind, including our supply of money, our supply of the ability to live and do and be the things we want to live in and do and be in this world. There is nothing in the world that is not of God, of that power. So I recognize that I am a part of it. I am an expression of it. Therefore, if this amazing infinite universe can create billions and billions of stars, it can create prosperity through me, in me, as me. It can bring to me everything I need and want to have and to express. Everything that would allow me to live in the freedom and joy and happiness that is my desire. And it comes to me according to my belief, according to my trust, according to my faith, and according to my action. I deny any power whatsoever to belief and about lack, limitation, the limits of age, the limits of job, the limits of sources of income, any of those limiting ideas which may be pounded into me from my history or from the world around me. They are not the truth, and by action of this treatment they are dissolved. And I open instead to the greater truth that I am the flow of Spirit. I am the value of Spirit. Therefore, the value of life, the value as it expresses in the form of money and supply, is mine already. I get out of the way. I watch for it to appear in its smallest or largest ways, and knowing in confidence that this is done, that this is who I am, that there is nothing to worry about in any aspect of my prosperity. I simply relax into life and look for the happiness and the joy and watch for it coming to me. I'm grateful that this is true, and I'm grateful that all it takes is me changing my mind about it to change my experience. I'm grateful that I live in a universe that loves me and loves life and loves itself as each of us in such a way that all supply is ours. In that awareness, I just let go. I let go, and I fly. This is my truth. I let it be, and so it is. What you think about your world will come back around. Remember that. Think about it. Pay attention to it. And if that's true for those little, when you're not paying attention, thoughts that come up, and you're just kind of walking through your day and walking through your life and grumping about this or complaining about that or whining about that. And if you're doing a whole lot of that, that becomes the whole thought atmosphere, and it comes right back to you. Every time I complain about another driver, I make a driving mistake. It makes me irritated beyond belief. But that's how it works. If I'm complaining about you or anyone else, it comes back around to me. And that's the joy and the challenge of our teaching. It's the part of our teaching where many people, after about 5 or 6 weeks of coming around, go, oh, wait a minute, maybe this isn't for me, because I have to be fully responsible for what I think and what happens to me. And, sometimes we'd all like to blame the devil or somebody else. So thank you. Thank you for that. That has nothing to do with my talk, but it's perfect for my talk. So what I'm saying doesn't. But what I am talking about today is reimagining your calling. And your calling is something that we all have, we all experience, we all know. Sometimes we know it more clearly than at other times. And yet all through life, as we grow and change and our lives take on different shapes, our bodies take on different shapes, our experiences take on different shapes, our calling continues to shift and change and grow with us. What may have been your calling, I don't know about you, when I was about 5 or 6 and somebody asked me, what are you going to be when you grow up? I was always going to be a fireman, just because that sounded good. I'd never seen a fireman. I didn't know what they were, but it sounded like a great idea at the time. And it sounded exciting and energetic and helping people. Later, that feeling of calling changed for me. It changed in the sense that my father died when I was 7. And just before his death, he had a conversion experience. My dad was a pretty rough and tumble guy who wasn't always easy to be with and was often hurtful to all of us in the family. And after his conversion, that changed. He quit doing that stuff. He even stopped cussing, which for him was really pretty phenomenal, because every other word was a cuss word before that. And I was a little guy, and I went, wow, something's changed. And it has something to do with this God business. Maybe I need to pay attention. And then unknown to me, he was already ill, and he died a few months later. And then they started telling me that because he got converted, he was in heaven now, and I better pay attention if I wanted to go see him later. And so I did. I started paying attention. It got my attention. And it really set the tone for the rest of my life, because at about 11 or 12, at a Baptist revival meeting, anybody ever been to one of those? Hallelujah. I got the urge, the feeling inside. I wanted to do some kind of full-time Christian service. Partly because I really felt it, and partly because it would guarantee me to get to see him one day, I thought. And that call came very strongly. Then later on, as I got older, and many things happened and changed, and Christianity of that style became too small a box. I didn't fit it anymore. My call began to be about wanting to just be good to people, to let people see who they are and how powerful and important they are. And so I moved into becoming a therapist, and I did family therapy and individual therapy. And then I found this teaching, and it was like, well, I can drop the therapy part and just teach. It'd be greater and better and more. It was about the same time that everything changed in the therapy world, and I was ready to get out of that. So I'm not telling you this to say, yay, rah, bob, but I am telling you this to say we all have this sense within us of something pulling us, of some kind of call. Everybody has it. We live it, we follow it, and the degree to which we consciously follow it on a day-to-day basis has a lot to do with how much joy we have, how much ease, how much sense of satisfaction. Now, a call isn't just about some highly religious, spiritual thing. Some of you are old enough to know who Cecil B. DeMille is, but I used to think that a call had to come that way, trumpets and blaring sounds and visions and people appearing and all of that. And I did a pretty good job in my dramatic self to create some of those kinds of feelings. But it isn't really about that. That was just a language for something deeper and something more real that every human being has. And that is the sense of something pulling us, something inviting us to be or to experience or to give into our lives. It's not preordained. God doesn't have some idea for you. This is who you are and who you're supposed to be. Now, if you just figure it out, you better figure it out right, because if you don't, you're going to be in trouble. It's not preordained. It's not pre-set up. It's not done before you get here, unless it's something you agreed to, perhaps. It's not a plan you have to discover and find. It is a plan that is already set in motion by who you are and what you are. And it's not a plan so much as a direction, a guidance. See, one of the things that Ernest Holmes said, and others since him have said, and before, is that any religious or spiritual practice that doesn't lead you back to yourself is suspect. If your spiritual practice or your belief system takes you out there, away from yourself, and therefore diminishes your own personal value, it's suspect. It opens the door for manipulation. It opens the door to be guided down a different path. But if it points you back to you as your center and your source and the place where the ultimate truth and power exists is within you, then that is one that fits within what we teach and believe, and which I think is closer to the truth. I say closer because I'm not sure anybody's got it all yet. We're working on it, but we don't have it all. So the idea then is to look to ourselves to find that call, to see what is within us that's calling us at any stage, whether it's 7 or 70. There's a sense of call that may change and may shift and may be different. There are 3 elements within you that determine that call, that give you clues into where and what and how it is. And the first one I want to talk about is gifts. We each have gifts. There are gifts that you have that are innately yours. Some of you are amazing organizational people. Oh my God, you can list off what needs to happen to get something done and know what needs to do and when it needs to be done and how it needs to get happening. That's a gift. People like me who don't have it value it a great deal. There are people whose gift is to see the big picture in an organization or in life and be able to see what could be and what can be and to hold the vision of that. That's a gift. Some people are just gifted moms. I know we got some gifted moms in this room who it's just built in. And other people don't have that. Some of you are gifted dads. It's everything about you to do that. Some of you are gifted individuals, period, that don't fit in any of those categories. You get to look at within you to say, what is it in me that I love to do and experience and express that I need to give? I need to give this gift in order to feel whole and complete. What is it I need to share with the world or a few people in the world? What if my gift is simply loving to see and view and appreciate the beauty of life? That's a great gift. And when you do that, you're adding to the beauty in the world and the appreciation of life. One of the challenges with learning to really recognize our gifts is getting over any of the negative self-talk that we may have had or been taught. Yeah, well, you're just lazy. No, I'm not. I'm a good meditator. That balances. Or those who set negative messages that say you aren't what you should be. Because if that's running around in our head, it's hard to get to what is my real gift. Some people have a gift for organization and leading other people and guiding them down their paths. Other people have a gift for working with individuals in trouble. One of my joys about teen camp is I'm one of the people in charge of the mental health team at camp. We have 257 teenagers on the mountain by themselves, away from their families, etc. And there's a need for that because they're being constantly challenged with spiritual practice and spiritual growth and spiritual ideas, which stir up, as you know. Sometimes it's a kick in the butt when you get a new idea. It stirs their stuff up. I am gifted at sitting with a teenager and listening and talking and helping them find the coping strategies to move out of their place of stuckness and moving on into life. And it's such a joy to do that. I'd shrivel up and die if I couldn't do that on a regular basis. Because it's my gift. It's one of my gifts. And I love it. Same thing with teaching. You have gifts like that are in you and you know it. Or maybe you have an inkling of it. So I'm inviting you to think about what are those gifts in you? Not what job should you have. Put the job thing aside right now. But just what is the gift? What is the personalness that you want to give to the world? The other thing that gets in the way of that sometimes is when we get too caught up in trying to be what somebody else said we ought to be. I was supposed to be a doctor. No, then I was supposed to be a musician from my family and a teacher. Well, the musician part I did for the first 30 years, and then I said, enough already. I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing it for them. I'm done. And it was wonderful. I had a great time doing it. I did it long enough to discover that wasn't my real gift to keep giving. I was a good mechanical magician, one of those, but not a music maker. You find that which is really yours, and you set aside what the rest of the world may have told you should be yours, or what mom and dad or someone else says it ought to be. And just think about, what is it that you give to life on a regular basis that you really want and need to do that makes you feel complete and whole, where time stands still and nothing else matters, and your energy is up for it and you're ready for it? That's your gift, and there may be many of them. The second element is passion. What are you passionate about? What gets you up in the morning? What would you do even if you weren't getting paid for it? That's the second element of your call. What are your gifts and what are you passionate about? Hang out with a big family, you'll find out. You know? But think about it in yourself. What is your passion? What gets you going? Either positively or negatively. Because if it's something negative, it's pointing you to the positive. If it's something where you get angry and upset and frustrated because this isn't working a certain way, that's simply because you're really wanting that and passionate about its opposite. See what those are. Pay attention. Passionate. What do you care about? You know, what gets you up in the morning? One of my passions is figuring out what makes other people tick. Why do we do the things we do, which sometimes seem really silly, and sometimes are just truly awesome and beautiful? And what I really see in all of that is the beauty of this variety of human experience. There are no two of us alike. We know that. But when you really start listening to people and working with people, and it's an exciting thing to see how we make our choices, how we create our lives, because every one of us does it differently. And I love to hear about those things. I love studying what other cultures do with that, and I love going and rubbing elbows with them and hearing, how do you get to this idea of God in your life? That's one of my passions. What's your passion? What would you just need to do to feel good and feel alive? That's part of your calling. Starting with, what are your gifts and what are your gifts and where would you bring those gifts into your passion? May or may not equal a job, but it might. The third thing is the values. What are the real values that drive your life? Again, not the ones other people said you should have, but yours. Values are about context. Values are about those things which matter most to you. A heavy value for me is individual freedom. I don't want to do anything to even smacks of limiting someone else's individual freedom. And I also have a value of fairness. And sometimes those get in conflict with each other. But think about what your things that you value most. Family, individuality, family of choice perhaps, love, honesty, integrity, being in touch. I value growth. Growth is one of those top values for me. I'm not saying it should be for you, but it is for me, because growth gets you from here to there. Growth means I'm not stuck just being who I thought I always had to be. It means I can grow through this. And when I hit a limit or lack or something that seems to be, this is as far as I can go, then that's an invitation. I get passionate about the value of growth and wanting to bring to that situation anything I can to move past it. What are your values? What do you really value? Freedom, fairness, family, prosperity. Do you really value prosperity, or do you just fret about it as something you can't have? Or something you take for granted is you've got it, so you don't have to think about it, and that's fine too. Do you value it? Do you resent other people who have it? Because that's not valuing it. That's doing something else with it. What about love and relationships? Do you value those? Are those important? See, when you put those three things together, your gifts along the lines of what you're really passionate about, and match it up with your values, you have a calling. You have that something that has to be done. It's like the many stories nowadays of people stepping up and making a difference. The gentleman in India who 40 years ago started planting a tree a day in a desert area and watering it and adding another tree and another tree, and now there's a forest there. His passion was reforestation. His value was he had the power to do something about what he cared about, and he did it. Every morning he walked there, he planted his tree, he watered it, he went back. The next day he comes out and does it again. 40 years of commitment to that. That's a calling. That's what I'm talking about. And it really, really is important to do that. We've been saying it all morning. We create our lives based on what we think about, based on what we believe in, based on these three things, what our calling is and how we respond to it. Oh no, that's too much for me. One of my callings was to see as much of the world as possible. I believed I was going to die by the time I was 30 because my dad did and his dad did, and I figured I was next in line. But I had this deep drive, so as soon as I got out of high school, in fact the year before I got out of high school, I took off, went to college, traveled as much of the United States because my brain wasn't big enough yet, my consciousness wasn't big enough to consider the rest of the world, because I wanted to see and experience all that I could get from life before it was gone. That was my passion, that was my call. And I did. I had a wonderful time, had a great time. I didn't die at 30, you probably noticed. It's a good thing. But that passion, that desire, that drive, there was a reason I went down that road and now I can't find it. I created my life based on that, and then when the 30 came, I had used it all up. And I had to step back and say, oh goodness, now what am I going to do for the next 30 years? I did it all. And then my growth became bigger. And then I remembered a little picture I had seen in all the years growing up of Machu Picchu. In the World Book Encyclopedia in our house, all of the pictures in that particular volume were black and white except the picture of Machu Picchu, which was in color. Or maybe I just imagined it was. And I thought, if I live another 30 years, I want to see that place. I want to experience the energy of it and the spirituality of it, and sure enough I did. Through a whole series of things that happened that I wasn't expecting. Same thing for Bali, same thing for other parts of the world. I got to see and experience because I had the vision of, I am here. I quit calling myself a citizen of the United States and started calling myself a citizen of the cosmos. Very pretentious, by the way, but it worked. Because then life began to respond to me as that. And invitations would come in, and I've had the opportunity to do things all over the world and teach in various places and take people and experience spirituality and gurus and have folks just show up out of nowhere and say, hey, I'm here because Spirit said I should talk to you and teach me things. On and on it goes. It's not about Bob being great. It is about you being great, and everything I am saying is available to every one of us if it is your call and your vision. There's nothing holding you back. Nothing. Except our own belief. Here's the thing we've been talking about all morning, and that is that we create our lives according to that, and we don't do it by force. We do it by creating the images, the ideas, the mental equivalent, we call it, the mental idea of something, seeing it already done and happening, and then allowing the power that is within us and around us to be drawn to us and move through us to create the experience. Hence, a seat in the extended leg section without costing any more money. Hence, a free trip to Italy for 3 weeks because, oh yeah, I did a CD somewhere and someone saw it and said, will you come be our meditation master for a 3-week trip to Italy? Yeah. In a heartbeat. My center wasn't too happy because I didn't have much notice, but that's okay. They loved me anyway. See, it just keeps unfolding for us. If we keep knowing it, believing it, and as we talked this morning, stay on track and not let all those other messages get in the way and cloud our thinking and cloud our faith and cloud our belief. See, because it's not we who are doing it. We are not the source, nor are we the supply. We are the directors. We have this amazing energy and power behind us and in us and through us that's saying, use me. Do something with me. Choose how I'm going to flow through you. We have a user-friendly God in this teaching. We have a user-friendly, it's like, it's a whole lot different than computers, which are becoming less and less so, but it's like we just think it and it comes out and it shows and it does it. But we have to think it with faith, and we align it then with our gifts, our passions, and our values. And the more clearly we do that, the greater will be our experience of being out and about and doing, or home alone, whatever your passion's about. Mine happens to be out and about. It will show up for you because it can't help but do that. It's how the system works. We don't have to make it work. It's automatic. It's automatic. It just does it. That's the way it goes. So you deserve that and better because you're wonderful. Every one of you. And so it is. Thank you. Yeah, surprise. So we're doing a whole lot of treatment today because that's the core of our teaching and what I build my life on. So I want to take us through a very short and I think important spiritual mind treatment. I'm going to guide you through the steps and you're going to do it instead of me doing it for you. Well, you don't have to do it, but you'll have the opportunity to do it. And so take a moment and get comfortable, sit with me, open your heart and mind to the idea that there is only one power. One power. It is present completely, not separate in any way from you or anything in your life. Let your mind sit with that idea for a bit. What does that look like to you? What does that feel like? What does it smell like, taste like? One power. The power by many names is known as love. Love is all you got. Love is all you are. And knowing that that power is available to you, choose one thing that is a gift of yours that you're passionate about and that fits within your values, and claim it as a full expression of you right now. It could be a job, it could be a gift, it could be a vision, it could be anything. But see it, imagine it, already done. Imagine it real, starting from this moment forward. Not maybe, not perhaps, not I hope, but real. And in your imagining and in your awareness, know that that is the ground of reality. Your mind, your consciousness is where reality resides, not the world outside. You have the capital R reality within you. So right here, right now, see it, know it, done. And if you have a feeling of it complete and done, step on to gratitude. Grateful that this is now your life, that this is now unfolding for you, that it is already demonstrating and showing up. And in that gratitude, knowing that you can trust these thoughts and this idea to the infinite mind that knows all, to the infinite wisdom that does all, and to the infinite law that brings it about into shape and form and coordinates everything in life to serve this vision, this dream, this idea, this call. And in knowing that you can trust it, you simply release it in faith, letting it be so. And so it is. Better? Do I need to start over? Okay. I'm going to take silence. It's better. Good. This is our time to share in the dream, the vision, the call of this center for prosperity, for life, for a continued flow of good within and without as we come together. I invite you to contribute as you till it feels good. We say it all the time. Contribute so that we continue to be here and can bring forward this message in this way, going on and on. And as you do that, and as the ushers come forward, before they do, we will read together the affirmation of prosperity. I live in a universe of abundance. As I freely and joyfully give, I join in the divine flow, and all that I share with life returns to me multiplied abundantly, and so it is. And more Haji.